And we are joined now by the winning crew chief today of the number 20, the Walt Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing, Adam Stevens. Adam, incredible race out there. Certainly edge of the seat for your fans out there, but how about for you on the pit box as you're watching those final laps unfold?
Yeah, it was. I think I fell off the edge of my seat a couple times, especially there, what was it, maybe 10, 15 to go when we were up in the top 3 or 4 and then fell back outside of the top 10. I thought we were toast, but Bell just kept his head down and really dug deep all day. And, you know, the first part of the race, we certainly didn't have track position and we just didn't have the balance, very close. And he stayed patient with us and just took what he could get. Didn't put himself in any bad spots, and we just got the car a little bit better. And closer we got to the front, he was able to work some magic and dig deep and make it happen.
Okay, we're going to open the floor for questions. If you have a question, we'll get a microphone to you. We're going to start here with Cameron.
Cameron Richardson, NASCAR.com. Adam, we talked on Friday about just having a clean day and executing when you need to. Just talk about Christopher Bell's just racecraft today and being able to come from the back and work your way up to the front by the end of the race.
Yeah, I touched on it there a second ago, but I mean, even think back to last week, right? We were in position there at the end of the Daytona 500 to contend for that win, and got a bad push there and ended up in the fence. But these speedway races are tough, and you have to make good decisions for the entirety of the day to have a whole race car to race with at the end, let alone put yourself in position with a solid race car. And he was able to do that. And like I said, you know, the first part of the race, we had to start so deep in the field and did not have track position and had a pretty crappy pit stall selection because of it. And you know, he just stayed really, really patient and never asked more out of his car than it was capable and never put himself in a spot that he was going to regret. And as it turned out, we had a competitive car with decent balance at the end, and he was just really on top of getting the runs and finding the pushes from behind and taking those runs and passing cars and getting himself cleared on the other side. So that was a real testament to how much work he's put into it. I think we saw a little bit of it last week and then a continuation of it this week here at the Speedway races.
Go to the middle, the Peter.
Peter Stroud at TSJ Sports. Adam, how does getting a win and being locked in the playoffs in week 2 change strategy for the rest of the regular season?
It frees you up a bunch. You know, I said this in the offseason when asked that question too. You know, the position that our team is in, we expect to run up front. So we wouldn't think that even if we didn't win a race that we would really be counting points when it came time for the playoffs to start. What we really need to be thinking about is winning that regular season championship and stockpiling as many bonus points as we possibly can. And this is a great start tonight to win the second race of the year. Probably a track that maybe we didn't think that we had circled as far as a potential win. So to come in here and really take one away from them is really good.
We're going to go next to Bob, and then we'll go to the young lady in the back. Start with Bob.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. I have two. The first, why is this so good and Daytona seems so frustrating? Like, what's the difference in the tracks or the way they run that makes it?
I think you have a couple things going on here. The Daytona, the length of the runs is outside of the fuel window. So it puts everybody really trying to make the fastest green flag stop they can. So up until the green flag stop, nobody's racing. Everybody's running around like a bunch of buffoons. I think it's horrendous, and I wish we could do something to change it. And the simplest thing we could do to change it is change the run length to match the fuel cell, match the amount of laps we can run on a tank of fuel hard. And you saw that in stage 1 today where you didn't see a bunch of people limping around scared to make a green flag stop. You saw a bunch of people running hard. And then we had cautions in stage 2 and 3 that negated that green flag stop. But the other thing is this track it's a full mile, damn near smaller than Daytona. There's not a lot of places to hide here. Things happen really fast. You don't need 7 or 8 cars to be fast. And it takes away the manufacturer allegiances because it's just not a pack-style race. The whole field's in a pack, but you can't separate and make decisions for the benefit of 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 cars.
And, you know, NASCAR didn't throw the caution on the final lap yesterday. They told everybody that today, hey, same situation, the caution's coming out. Did you kind of feel like you knew if the caution was going to come out? And do you feel like, you know, or do you just have to race and whatever's the call is, the call is.
Yeah, I don't have control of that button. I think they do the best job they possibly can. It's not easy, and they're trying to give the fans a checkered flag finish, but they don't want to put anybody in danger either. So they're trying to assess if the field's going to come back around. They're trying to assess how hard the person may have hit. It's a lot of decision making to make in a split second. So they do the best they can.
Go to the back.
Sydney Redden, the podium finish. So JGR as an organization allowed their drivers to compete in dirt racing again, and Christopher had competed out in Tulsa and won races. Do you believe that helped? Obviously he's a race winner anyway, but just starting the year off as the new year helped
Sure.
that mentality?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I absolutely think it does. On a couple fronts, he's a race car driver, and for him to stay sharp, he needs to drive a race car, and cutting simulator laps just really doesn't do that. You wouldn't ask a professional golfer to lock his clubs in the closet for 3 months over the winter and show up at the first tournament. I bet he wouldn't play very well. But for him to compete and stay sharp, he has to be on a racetrack racing, and there is some risk that comes with that. But it's to our benefit. It's not only to our risk, So I think staying sharp and enjoying yourself is the other component. He doesn't have a lot of other hobbies. He loves to drive race cars. He loves to work on race cars, drive race cars, watch race cars, and that's what he loves to do. So, when he has downtime, that's what he wants to do. And when I have downtime, I have a list of things I want to do, and I think we're all a little bit different in that regard. And it's nice to have an avenue to clear your head and focus on something in between races.
Jacob?
Jacob Zielman, Race Face Digital. Adam, off to your right here. 8 months ago, you and Christopher were the last JGR team in Victory Lane. You're in Victory Lane tonight. There was a lot made of that gap. I know Gabe Hart being moved to the competition director role was in part because of all that. From your seat, what was the level of, whether it was concern, discomfort? I mean, it took probably longer than you wanted to get back to this point, but has there been kind of any four-alarm fire feeling at all in this period?
Not from my team's perspective. That is a long time. That's a long time for the organization to go, for sure, and a long time for this 20 team to go. But we were super competitive in that gap and had a lot of opportunities slip through our fingers for a litany of reasons that I won't even go through. So for us, we didn't feel like it was lack of performance. On occasion, it was lack of execution, and on other occasions, it was just pure circumstance. And you're going to have that. We had that today in our favor. So I feel like the changes that were made in the offseason are nothing but a colossal positive for Joe Gibbs Racing, for my team, and for the future success of our company. And I think that maybe we've seen a little bit of that this year already. We were pretty sporty as a whole in Daytona, and we certainly all qualified better. And we had competitive cars here today once we got the balance close. And probably not the two best examples, but, we get 6 or 8 races into the season. I think you're going to see a lot more competitive Joe Gibbs Racing.
To build off that, obviously you said small sample size still, but what do you feel that Gabe Hart brings to the organization as a whole in the position that he's in now that maybe you might not have been able to get when he was specifically the 11 crew chief?
Sure. Well, I think there's a couple things there. Number one, for Gabe Hart filling that role, we haven't gotten rid of anybody. All the same players are still there. We just shored up that competition side with another guy, and it's a guy that's fresh off the box that was competing at a high level. It's hard to stay sharp and know exactly what the race teams need if you're far removed from it from a time standpoint, and he is certainly not. And he's more of a visionary, probably more than myself. He's thinks more ahead in that regard, and I think having that guy that's constantly there at the shop chopping wood when we're not there to chop the wood is a big deal. And I think he's really in tune and aligned with what the race teams need and what we don't need and how we can allocate those resources. It's a resource allocation game anymore, and he's certainly tuned in to what we need.
Well, Adam, congratulations on the victory. Good luck next week at COTA.
Thank you all very much.
And we're going to continue on the post-race press conference for today's Am Better Health 400 with the winning car owner of the number 20 Toyota, Coach Joe Gibbs. Coach, I mean, you had to experience the full range of emotions in this race. How sweet is it to get into victory lane after such an exciting finish?
Well, it is, and it's so hard. I'll put it that way. The day started off with us yesterday, I guess you could say, instead of today, with qualifying, and I don't think we've ever qualified that far back, all of our cars. And so we knew we were going to have to do a lot of work today. Really proud of our teams. Hated it for 54 and Ty and get caught up in a wreck. It was Saya's first race for us, and they're located here in Atlanta. We had a great hospitality. Really appreciate those guys. We're looking for a long road with them. Appreciate them. But I really felt like our other three cars, we just kind of kept fighting all day long, worked our way up. And eventually, with restrictor plate, and particularly here at Atlanta, you got to have things go your way. And at the end, for Christopher, he did a good job just keeping us in at the top 5, and then had some good things happen to us at the end.
Okay, we're going to open the floor for questions. Raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll go to Jacob and then to Bob.
Jacob Zillman, Race Face Digital. Joe, to your right here.
Yeah.
Obviously, you mentioned it, full range of emotions, but to see Christopher be the one to put this organization back in victory lane after almost a year. I mean, Adam was in here earlier and said he didn't feel a sense of panic per se, but what was the sense of urgency maybe behind the scenes as you guys have made these changes and fought so hard to get any of the teams back in victory lane?
Yeah, well, you made a good point, too. We made changes. I think many times in pro sports, you analyze your year and where you are. And, in our case, we felt like we needed to reorganize some things and do things a different way. Last year, we led a lot of laps, but we didn't win races like we should. And so we went to work in the off season, moved Chris up, kind of reorganized and kind of redid the 54 car, and we made some other changes. So it's great for us to get off to a good start here with the second race of the year and to get a win. I just really appreciate every time I've been in the winner's circle calling our sponsors. For us, you got to have great partners if you're going to be able to race. DeWalt has been with us for a long time. It was great getting them in the winner's circle. Ream and JR, appreciated them. And so I wind up calling Mark Reesers, and so we got a great team of sponsors on that car. Appreciate Christopher, the way he hung in there. Adam and Christopher have a lot of experience, and hopefully we get off to this kind of a start. We can have a great year.
What qualities, you mentioned moving Gabe Hart up, what qualities do you feel like he brings to that bigger picture role that maybe you couldn't fully explore when he was more focused on Denny's car?
Yeah, we felt like that we needed some help for our crew chiefs in general, all 4 of them. They're so caught up on their cars, and they're so focused on it. We felt like by getting somebody to look at things overall, we might be able to give them more help. And so that was our reason for that. I think Chris was the right guy. We tried to talk him into it about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and we were able to get it done this time.
Go to Bob.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. Christopher seemed much happier going into this year because he got to race during the off season. I'm curious, how hard of a decision was that for you to let him do that? And did you watch any of those sprint car races, or did you turn your head away?
No, I didn't watch them, but I think as much as anything, we have 3 of our guys are heavily involved in dirt stuff coming up, and I felt like that the thing that I probably made the decision on, they're really focused just on racing. They love it, and they talked about the off season, being able to, get a chance to race some dirt stuff would help fill their time and get them excited about things. And so we'll kind of see where it leads, but I made that decision, and we'll kind of see what happens with it. Yeah, I guess you could say that, yeah.
Final question here come from Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. Along those lines, Ty obviously is a dirt racer. Did that influence your decision a little bit, having your grandson, coming up and racing in dirt like he does?
We sat down with all 3 of them. I did, but obviously Ty, yeah, definitely. He had not really come up racing dirt, but he kind of got real excited about it here lately. He was up at Millbridge doing some stuff and wanted to kind of expand on that. And so Christopher obviously is always heavily involved with it. Chase right now has a team, but is kind of backed off. So that's kind of where we are with all that. Yeah.
Well, Coach, congratulations on the triumph. Good luck next week in Austin.
Yeah, thank you to all of our sponsors. Toyota, just really appreciate Toyota and the partnership. It's awesome to have great sponsors. I think as much as anything, when you get in the winner's circle, you see everybody that kind of went with you, supports you, and it's great being in there, not for yourself as much, but for them. Appreciate Toyota, DeWalt, Ream, like I said, and Reesers, and Interstate. So thank you all. Hey, appreciate all of you. Thank you.